That's disgusting. Ugh.
I think the wings look pretty cool, but you know what looks better here?
Beer? A beer making kit?
How did you know?
Beer. Beer. Homemade beer.
So we're gonna sit down so we can talk about it. So the two units of measurement that we're gonna be concerned about is distance and weight.
Wait.
The reason why we're concerned about distance will become a third word.
I'm concerned about the same thing when I do the midget throwing.
Right.
So midget throwing and beer making have some...
So, perhaps. But let's leave that for later.
All right.
That might be a different episode, midget throwing, right?
Distance and
So
weight.
here's the thing. First thing that we need to figure out is how much of this do we need? Specific gravity is what we're going to be starting our calculations on. Now, specific gravity is defined as 1.0 for water, pure water at 4 degrees of Celsius. Now, the pure water actually has a weight of, or density of 0.999975 at 4 degrees Celsius. And it's most likely because they didn't use pure water when they established 1 kilogram. Now 1 kilogram was 1,000 cubic centimeters of water at 4 degrees Celsius.
Who's they?
International measurement system back when metric was devised.
They.
So,
Great.
So 1 kilogram is 1,000 cubic centimeters of water that they used, which was not pure.
What the hell are we gonna do with that? I want beer, not
Yes, we're making
milkshakes.
So right now, if you have 1 liter of water, it doesn't actually weigh 1 kilogram. If it's pure water, it's going to weigh only 999 3/4 of a gram. That's because they had diluted solids in it.
Yep.
But in order to make calculations simpler, that specific gravity of water at the 4 degrees is 1.0.
Craft beer kit. Craft? Isn't that the company that makes cheese? Craft?
With K. But how do you measure a cubic centimeter? That's derived from meter.
That was-
What is a meter?
That was my
And
question.
this is where we have the planet Earth, right? If you look at the contents of it, you'll realize that it has malted barley extract. And so we're gonna make it out of this. We talked about it.
Incredible.
In fact, this is what we got.
And we are gonna unbox it.
So if you measure a distance around the equator, it's going to be 40,072 kilometers. Yeah, so that's what we're going to use to
Fresh.
butter it. Here, I have something for you.
Gonna eat that?
Yeah.
I know
Squished,
that.
and it's because of the centrifugal force that pushes the water out. However, the distance between equator and North Pole is 10 million meters by definition, because that is how meter was originally defined.
10 million meters.
Yes.
All right.
So let's unbox this.
This is my favorite part. What do we got?
Bottle. It's dark because it prevents UV light from oxidizing and damaging the beer.
It's dark for UV light. UV light damages beer, in case you didn't know.
In fact,
It also damages skin.
the brewing equipment is made from the same material.
Yes. That's great information, but how does
So-
it apply to making beer?
4 degrees Celsius.
Again, I've heard that.
Why 4 degrees Celsius?
Specific gravity.
Water is a liquid. Every liquid, when you heat it up, but basically any material that is heated up, the molecules of the material are going to be moving very rapidly. They're going to be bumping into each other, and they're going to be pushing each other apart. So as you heat up liquids, the density actually lowers. How much malted milk do we need? We already know that this craft beer container can brew 2 gallons. So here's what I was looking at. I was looking at the specific gravity you can get out of malted dry extract, because it's very similar to this one. Malted dry extract has approximately 49% carbohydrates to the weight. This one has about 47.5.
Pretty close.
It's
So very small.
basically
So very small percentage of this is actually, you know, flavor and milk. Most of it's
There is no flavor. There's only dry milk and soy lecithin.
well.
As you're cooling down the water, the density grows and grows and grows. The thing is that our pressure doesn't allow for one of many different ice combinations or structures that water could make. And instead we just end up with a standard ice one, which is hexagonal, and ice is actually lighter than water. You probably noticed that when you put ice cubes in the
But
drink,
ice is also analogous that it expands when it freezes.
That's what I'm
too.
saying.
Gosh, that's heavy.
Yeah, because it's not dehydrated. This is just malt extract.
Dude.
And a bunch of other things like bottle costs.
Got some stuff inside here too, Brain. What do we got in here?
And we have Mr. Beer stickers.
Awesome.
Oh, here's the rest of the beer bottles inside.
That's funny.
How the hell did they get it in there? This one. I told you we would need like 16 bottles or something, so I wasn't sure why they were so cheap.
I feel like singing that song, 16 bottles of beer on the wall, 16 bottles of beer. One fell down.
This is called No Rinse Cleaner.
Let me, by the way, with all the videos on YouTube, all the channels, nobody has made beer with malted milk. No one. We are the only ones. Just wanted to make that very clear.
So we got some color already in here. Let me try and taste it.
Stop eating the product.
Oh, it's bitter. That's good. I think it's done. We might be able to go on a stage 2. And here are carbonation drops. Which...
This
You can
is
eat
sugar
as a
drops,
candy.
right?
Yeah.
Sugar drops are like, I probably will have one or two.
And that's it.
Nothing
We
else
also
in
have a spigot somewhere here.
So this, are we getting all of this? This is my new best friend.
Most snowflakes are gonna be hexagonal. and
Amazing.
But what happens is that as the water slows down beyond critical point, which is about 4 degrees Celsius, the molecules are so slow that they start to form the hexagonal structures even before it freezes over. And they start to expand. So the water actually stops getting denser at 4 degrees as you're cooling it down, and that is the highest density water can accomplish. Once it gets to 0, you know, your density is going to be about 90% of the density of water.
You have to also remember we're at about 600 feet above sea level right here.
We need to account for that because the water is going to boil at different temperatures.
That's what I'm here for.
Take things like sugar and you dilute them in water, the density of the water becomes higher. If you have 4.4%, which is what 1 pound of malted extract dried, diluted in 1 gallon of water will do to you, you will end up with 1.044 specific gravity. Now, this little thing, as I said, the yield is slightly less than pure malt, and we have cans that are 13 ounces. So we bought 3 of them.
Beginnings of making beer.
So it's very important for us to have clean environment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna boil it, and we're gonna strain it, and then we're gonna boil it again. Because we don't want any bacteria getting in there. I'm gonna put it on low so that it can steep.
I want my beer clean.
And let it steep.
All right, sounds good.
When you ferment a beer, you end up with a liquid which has alcohol content, but it has no bubbles. What you do is you bottle it, and you add a little bit of
Sugar candy.
carbonation drops, as they call
Why do they call them carbonation drops if they're sugar candy?
because the yeast that is still active in it, since it's not going to be pasteurized or filtered out. So this is our bitter liquid before we're gonna add 3 containers of malted milk.
Just some glass. Isn't that some bladder of some fish?
Yeah, that's air bladder.
Who's
It's
the
direct from air
brain
bladder.
now?
Yeah, I probably told you that already, didn't I? So we're gonna make unfiltered beer. It might be a little bit more milkier than standard unfiltered beer since our malted milk actually has milk in it.
Is this gonna be a manly beer or a girly beer? That's disgusting. Ugh. You boiled the rind from the grapefruit. You remove the rind, you're left with this disgusting bitter water. And then you're just dumping all this malted milk in there.
So what happens when you add sugar to a closed bottle that has active yeast? Well, the active yeast will make some more alcohol. It'll produce CO2, which has nowhere to escape, and it will naturally carbonate the beer in bottles. No, not all of it. This is only one. We're gonna dump 2 more.
That's gross. Ugh. And you think this is gonna make beer?
Oh yeah. It is the only solid on our planet that is actually lighter than its liquid version.
Wow.
Now what it does is that when you have mass of water, body of water, the top of the water will freeze over in the winter. And it protects the living organisms underneath it. Now if ice was heavier than water, it would freeze from bottom up and it would kill all life. And since that's where the life started, we wouldn't be talking about beer if ice was not lighter than water. We just wouldn't be talking about a beer now. Attenuation of standard malt is about 75%. Attenuation is basically an expression that tells you how many points you lose during fermentation, because alcohol is lighter than water, so there is no good way of calling it. It's called attenuation. So I have just disinfected our brew keg, including utensils we may or may not need, as well as a thermometer, which we definitely, probably, maybe will need. Because this has a small amount of milk, even though normal attenuation is about 75%, I'm calculating about 73% for it. I might be wrong and it might be slightly stronger. So if you plug in the numbers. So our mixture is nearly completely dissolved. So I think it's time we start filling in our keg. We're gonna put in ozonized spring water. Ozonized because it kills most living organisms at a time of bottling. So hopefully it's gonna be perfectly clean. We're gonna use a new one that has never been opened and therefore couldn't have been contaminated. I know. You want beer too? When you put it all together, what do we get? 1.53 specific gravity, attenuation 73%. Towards the end, we're going to end up with approximately 1.17. Now, if you plug that in the calculator, it yields about, what, 5.3% alcohol by volume? It's reasonable beer. Let's actually mash and water mixture.
Watch it.
Here goes the rest of the liquid. Here's the brewer's yeast. You can see that it looks a little different.
It looks like chicken food.
But it's not. So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle it in there.
Shall I? Uh-oh.
Put it somewhere else.
What the hell? You're a pig. Wait, don't close the door on it yet. You want to turn it on its side so it looks prettier? You want to leave it just like that?
Just like that's fine.
Oh, I can see the beer sloshing around there. It's up to here. It's almost full. So this thing is it's gonna fill up with gas. What's gonna happen here? What is this gonna fill up with?
The yeast will first dissolve and then start eating the sugar from the malt extract. It will bubble up, but the lid lets air escape, so it will not be pressurized, or it will not be pressurized under high pressure. The air will be taken through the lid. And when the process is done, we're gonna use the same cleaner to clean the bottles, and we're gonna bottle it, add the sugar to that so that we can carbonate it, or the carbonation drops, or whatever they're called. And that'll be it. Then
Sounds like a
wait
plan.
couple days and we're done.
Good night, beer. Mr. Beer. My little pig. My little big beer pig.